They don't understand our love. They say we're not good enough. No matter what they say, oh, we are. We're having the time of our lives.
Here we are once again, ready to walk the talk on your favorite TV chat fest. I'm Tabia, your host. Today, it's all about parenting. These days, everybody has their own ideas on the best way to bring up their children, but there are some things that should be done in moderation. What is right or wrong for our children? What kind of dressing is appropriate for a little girl? What should a teenager be allowed to wear? Is it okay for your 5-year-old to have a mobile phone or even an iPad? How do we differentiate between being your child's friend and being a parent? We'll answer these questions and many more when we come back. Stay tuned.
In the time of our lives.
Welcome back. So, we have with us, where do we even start? Auntie Adesuwa Oyenokwe.
Okay.
Yes.
It's good to start from there. I'm glad
Yes.
to be here.
We're so happy to have
Welcome.
you.
So
We're
good
so
to
happy
have you.
Yes.
Do you know why I'm glad to be here? I remember all of you in diapers, running around NTA. You know, your mom, all the moms. I have to say that. Don't edit that out. You know, running around in diapers, and it's such a joy to see that the apple didn't fall too far from the tree.
Oh.
You know? But I'm sure you guys didn't expect this, though. Did you?
No, exactly.
Yeah, especially the diaper part.
Picturing us in diapers, I don't know.
Spoiling markets. Spoiling our markets on screen. Can you
I have to
imagine?
spoil your market. It's nice to be here. I'm glad I'm here.
Thank you so much. So we're still discussing parenting, and we've been having, so many conversations on how society has just changed, not necessarily for the better, in terms of the values that a lot of younger parents seem to be giving, or not so much, their children. And one question we wanted to ask was about age appropriateness. You know. I think that's a big issue in Nigeria because even when it was such simple things as going to the cinema, you see toddlers in watching adult films. So, why
do we find it so? I mean, everybody has that last minute glitch that nobody to leave.
Yeah, there's no nanny. Yeah.
But what would make you, in an instance, think it's okay to take 8, 9-year-olds for a film that is clearly rated 18, for example? That has
They probably
way too much.
think the children would not see.
Yeah.
You know how it is.
Sometimes they
But
fall
forgetting
asleep.
that, I mean, I've talked to people who remember things that happened when they were 3. And you'd be surprised at the kind of thing that stays in their head. But with parenting, like with everything else, styles change, times change, and styles differ, even though times don't always, differ. The point is, a man has a child with a woman, and the child becomes the woman's responsibility, and she takes care of him, her, or him, until daddy pays the fees and things like that, So it's moms, really, that are responsible for forming the kind of values that the children would have at the end of the day. I mean, you girls can attest to that, going by the kind of mothers that you have. But what's happened is that most women have lost the value they have in themselves with time. That's what I have found out, in the course of my work. They don't realize how important they are because they're more focused on the things that are external, not realizing the damage that would do down the line. So it's a bit, they might think I'm conservative, that, okay, why are we making women responsible for what it is? But the truth is, it's women.
Yes.
Again, because it's women that raise the men who become husbands.
Yes.
Do you get what I mean? And so if we have terrible husbands today, we should be punching their mothers. Really and truly. You have a little girl. How old is she?
She's 2.5.
Oh, would you take her to the spa?
Absolutely not.
Even if you could afford it?
I would not.
Why wouldn't you?
Because my mother didn't raise me that way.
It's simple. It's simple.
Learn to
When I
wash
was
your
little-
face with soap.
Before I started growing out my nails,
Yes.
I was well into my teens. Before that, you cut your nails,
I know.
you're not
You were
meant to
clean
care.
and short.
Yes, you're not meant to care about such things at such a young age. I
No,
think.
but this superstar actor? No, what's the Kardashian girl?
Yes.
Would she take her 2-year-old to go do?
Oh, most probably.
Exactly. That's what we're consuming. We're consuming so much international standard.
And copying them to the
and
point of
then we are
wrongness.
copying them to the letter.
But then what I
Even
don't
would even do
understand
worse
is,
sometimes. They
Even
do worse
abroad,
than
they don't
they do.
copy. Abroad, they make fun of Kim K. They don't copy her.
Exactly.
So how come we take her as a
No,
role
but
model?
anything that is not from
The
here,
norm, yeah.
people appreciate.
yes.
I really don't blame them because that's what we bombard them with. I mean, take for example what you guys are doing. I can count how many great shows exist on television. That's because it's not an easy thing to do. You know, how many people can produce something like what Kim Kardashian is producing in Nigeria? Where's the money? Who's going to put money where it should be? It's easier to acquire these things. So the thing is, we acquire international content on TV. See what's happening to radio is change because it's easier and it's more affordable. It's going to happen with TV. Fingers crossed. We acquire content that is not our style and we are consuming so much of that. We become like them.
What I find also very disturbing is how parents, adults, who have been through the joys and the pains of childhood no longer almost want to encourage their children to be children.
Yes.
You've got kids who look in there and tell you, I've never watched a cartoon in my life.
How does that?
What
I
do
don't
they watch?
like cartoons. They watch
Or they do...
adult material.
No, they watch
what I
adult
consider more adult
films, like the same films
or
anybody
music.
here would.
That's
would
news
watch.
to me,
And-
actually. It's scary.
Electronics have taken over also. They've become the new
We,
babysitters, etc. They don't want their children to live life in all the stages that they're
Yeah,
supposed
they're
to go
missing their
through.
childhood.
There are 9 going on.
Especially when you consider
30,
when you consider your childhood and it was so nice and you know all the things you used to do as children. Yes, our lives have been modified by technology and the invention of technology. It's so technology is fine, and I want my child to roll with the times. I don't want you backwards because I only play aside. It's sidekick when your mates are on computers. I don't know how to press A. Meanwhile, so but you know keep up with them. These are things they should learn, but yet let them not miss out on a childhood.
Exactly,
Because
yes.
all that's going to happen is the cycle is going to continue, and maybe it will be worse in their day because we don't know what's happening then. Maybe they'll have robotic. Yes, my mom is not around. Let the robot come and bath me, robot.
It's getting there. It's
It's getting to that point. So I mean, we need to just I think have a handle, and like we've always been sort of like been saying it a lot. Have a handle on what your children are doing, where they are. Be especially in those formative years. Be available to them. Small baram, you run to school. They say my picking did what? Yes, if you're beating them, beat them there in the school and go home.
But what I would say is, what I would say is parents should learn to know that they have a responsibility.
Yes.
You know,
Not
and
sure
if you
kids.
unleash our responsibility is to put people who are better than we are. You've got to be
Yes,
better than
produce.
us.
Yes,
You know what I
yes.
mean? So when you have
Because they've
kids, that's the
given
joy.
you that little
They've taken you
platform.
this far.
You need to take it to the next level.
Productive
Because I
members
mean,
of society.
someday, you know, you're going to be proud. Like I'm sure, like your mom is looking at, oh, that's my daughter, and it's like, okay, all the things that we fought over, now they're the ones that are making what you are. But moms don't want to fight with their children anymore. They're afraid.
I think it's so strange now that it's almost as if mothers feel like the bond they have with their daughters is not strong enough to withstand one little fight, you know, which is very strange because when I look at our relationship with our mom, you know, yes, we fight, but 5 minutes later, we're back to, you know, because you can't.
But
stay
now,
angry.
what are you? Best friends, I guess.
Well, yeah, now we pretty much
still
got
have
to a
it. Some of
stage
us still have
where
issues.
we're friends.
Yes.
Occasionally, there's still.
There will always be.
But exactly.
There's no end to parenting.
Yeah, my mom would just used to say,
Yeah.
I don't know how to talk to people anymore. When I say something, you're jumping down my throat because people are always on the defensive. I said, no, I just ready. You come, I come. Yes. You give me A, I give you from B to Z.
Yes.
My mother used to tell me, a child will do the
the
same
same
thing to
thing.
you. So that's the best prayer for a child. If you do this to me, somebody is going to do this. They're going to come running to me for help. And you'll thank me too. Like I'm sure you thank your mothers now.
Of
For a lot
course,
of things.
of course,
For a
of
lot of
course,
things.
yes.
So the challenge is for mothers out there to remember that if you're going to unleash terrors into our society, it's going to be a society of terrorists.
Yes.
Because if they're going to spar at 5, I keep saying that, for example, that means in their time, maybe once the baby comes out of the channel, they just take the child to a spa. To have the child all cleaned up.
Nails did.
Thank you very much for coming. This has been so interesting, and I'm sure very enlightening for our viewers out there. So we're going to take a break now, and when we come back, we'll be meeting with 2 of our very special guests.
We're having the time of our lives.
Welcome back. With me here is Mrs. Gbemi Smith. She's the proprietress of Childbuild Schools, a staunch educationist who can shed more light on this topic for us. Also here is Mrs. Tosan Ugbeye, also an educationist who lectured in the English and Theatre Arts Department of the Lagos State University for many years and trained a lot of the leading professionals in the entertainment industry today. You're both welcome to walk the talk.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, we have a lot of questions to ask on, parenting and how things have changed, how you've seen things evolve as educationists. Can you point out any key differences in maybe our values?
I think presently there's what I would call the permissive style of parenting, where the child is allowed to do almost everything. In our days, it was kind of a give and take. You discussed with the parents, but you took more of whatever was coming. Nowadays, it's like a child says something, I want this. Have it. There's no explanation. And I feel that it's affecting a lot of children, particularly those ones that are kind of categorized as children from cornucopia age, where there's so much wealth, affluence. I have so much, so I can give so much to that child without thinking whether the child actually will benefit from it. When we were growing up, even though our parents had, but they deprived you in order to make you strive harder, aim to do something for yourself.
Very true. What's your take?
Well, one of the things that I found is just as you said, madam, we're dealing with a generation that doesn't even believe that they should be disciplined. They're not prepared for work. I find that quite a few of them are quite lazy and laid back and feel as if, well, I don't have to follow any rules. Make up my own rules. In fact, I'm going to do this exactly how I want and at the time that I want. So I think what we've lost in this generation is that sense of drive, that sense of discipline, that sense of wanting to fit in and desiring something very strongly. I think it's gone.
What about the schools? Are schools also now a part of the problem? Because before, you pretty much expected that the school and the home front would be on the same page. But seeing as it's unfashionable to, forget corporal punishment, to even reprimand.
Yes.
You can't. You can no longer reprimand. You can't take an element out of a classroom because you're disturbing the others. Stand out the door. When you're, calm, you come back in. You're not even allowed to do these things anymore. Talk less of the whole sentiment also of some people just send their children off to school, expecting that the school will
Raise. You want school to raise your children because you could care less.
I think the parents are the problem. And the wealthier they are, the more problem they become. What you're talking about, we do it in my school. We ask them to stand out. We apply sanctions if you misbehave. There are various sanctions. We do not cane them. We do not apply corporal punishment. But the parents are the parents because they know they've worked very hard for their money. They don't want their children to turn up like misfits or hooligans all over town. They believe in the core values of parenting, that there's a give and take. But in a lot of schools, particularly where parents pay very high premium to educate their children, I have found that most of these kids, when you see them, they're very rude.
Very.
Because there's no discipline whatsoever. And the teachers are so afraid of the parents, who the father is. You might have a minister's child in your class, or you probably might have one of the richest Nigerian in your class. So because of the fear of what a parent can do to the teachers, they tend to say, oh, just go ahead with it, and then let go.
I think if we were to focus in our schools more on bringing our children up to a certain universal standard, of politeness, of good graces, and so on. The way that we were taught when we were young. So whether they're rich or poor, whether they come from whatever part, they will be able to mix with one another, and our society will somehow seem to be more sane.
Yes.
How do we then restore sanity, and bring back a bit of authority? Because as you both rightly said, the sorts of individuals that we raise have a very high impact on the kind of society we all, live in. So what is the way forward?
I would say that I think we shouldn't be scared to use the authority that has been given to us. I mean, within the parameters of what we're allowed, for example, in the schools, flogging is no longer encouraged. So within those same parameters, it is possible to still check a child with consequences and to make sure that at home that we don't just leave our children. Because I think that laxity, I think it's better in a sense to be too strict than to be too lax, because we survived a system that was too strict, or we felt was too strict, but a system that doesn't care and doesn't have boundaries. And I think it really starts in the home. So I would advise parents to fearlessly bring up, I used to tell my son, I am your jailer, because I'm not going to bail you out of any prison. So you do that work, So we need to be firmer. We need to take action.
Take charge.
I also think that religion plays a part. If you expose your child to church, or if you're a Muslim, and they know that there's a power up there that doesn't allow
For the bad behavior.
bad behavior. That's right. And I think it's a very strong point from a spiritual aspect. A lot of children now from Sunday school are being told to imbibe this kind of behavior. Don't do this, don't do that, because Jesus Christ is against it. Same thing with the Muslim. And I think if you ensure that they are brought up in a way that they fear and respect, that being up there, that whose wrath could just descend upon them. Never mind the parents. Never mind
You're being watched wherever you go.
God.
Check.
Yes.
They check themselves, the beginning of wisdom.
The beginning of wisdom.
So
They
they
check
fear
themselves.
God.
That's
And I think every parent also,
I don't want to go to hell.
Yes.
what could happen to your child if you say no? Nothing.
I think the best thing that can happen between the schools and the parents is to have, to work together, and for us to sort of give permission to the schools to say, it's all right, I'm not going to be on your neck if you discipline my daughter, if you discipline my son. So we need to be more active. We need to be at the Teachers Association meetings. We need to go to the open house sessions at our children's schools. We need to know our children's teachers and also let them know that we are concerned and that they are free. We also understand that they have our children's best interests at heart. So I think that would be the way forward to me.
Yes, definitely. I agree with that.
Very wise
Yes.
Thank you very much,
Definitely.
Mr. Smith and
said it
Mrs.
right.
Ugbeye. It's been lovely having you on Walk the Talk.
Thank you so much
We'll be
for
right
coming.
back. Thank you.
In the time of our lives.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Nigeria, Africa, I say, hold this thing. This is your girl again, the one and only chair girl. Any other one is a counterfeit. And I'm here again just to express, my feelings on some things. As usual, they have given me avenue to say what I feel about certain things. And I'm going to use that very avenue to tell you about my mind and what I'm feeling about certain things. And the issue at hand or leg or anywhere is the issue of parenting. Sometimes, as a parent, you think of yourself, what you have gone through as a child, how was your bringing? How did you suffer? Did you go to a stream to fetch water, Were you selling groundnuts 6 o'clock in the morning? You wake up, as sheep, feeling your life. So when you now born children, sometimes you want to make sure that your children didn't suffer like you suffered. But in that, procedure, sometimes you are now going to raise the westitude level of your children. Westitude is when, something not good is happening to somebody, they become a what? A West. And the adjective is what? Westitude. As a people in general, we have to keep our westitude level at 0. When it passes 0, it's becoming a what? A very big problem. Now, all of you parents out there, help your children, help their market, to becoming a good God-fearing citizens, adding good things, to the society at what hand, think of their future, you wanted to grow up and say, wow, my mother, my father do me well, you understand me? Let it not be that they will grow up and say, chai, why did I grow up in such a home? You want to help your children's market so that they can grow up to be somebody you can be proud of. Please. This thing we give our children many type of gifts. As far as I'm concerned, when I born my children abroad, they will not see it. They can write an essay about it. I want you to be able to tell me we went to embassy. It was hard. We stand online. Money coming out was difficult to get. Then you can go abroad. If not, you will be consolating yourself with going to Gurara Falls, to the zoo in Abuja. And that's going to be a what holiday until you're able to write a what essay. You're not going to be able to have a cell phone until you can pay the bill. That's when you're 5 years old. What are you saying? Hello. Talking to who? On the cell phone. You're in nursery school. What are you doing with a cell phone? Your teacher gonna call me if there's an issue. You understand it? So I don't see the point, for doing all these things, Sometimes something is too much, Your 10-year-old daughter is on wave on. Can she afford it? Real human hair on the 10-year-old is what? West. You can buy her Amigo or Darling Yaki. It is better for her because that one kind of merge, and collaborate with her national hairdo. So you don't have to give her a Brazilian or Indian. Just Darling Yaki number 4, color 4. Yeah, it will help her market much than that, So, you have to be very careful, as you do all these things with your kids, If your kids opportunity to be as your children, you can take them out and do things for them. Do it, but in moderation, you understand me? The word is what? Moderation. Don't let your this 10 be in vain. Don't be doing for your children to become a West. Do it in what? Moderation. Moderation is the key. Moderation is the what? Key. We'll come back again to talk to you. This is God again. Chega. Bye. Yeah. Bye.
In the time of our lives.
What's the way forward? Parents need to learn to stop overindulging children. We're not doing them any favors. Rather, we're destroying their futures. Show your children love, but always know when to put your foot down. Be your child's friend and confidant, but also know when to be a parent and to be firm. Always remember that to the world you are one person, but to your child you are the world. Here's where I officially sign out, and I'll see you next time on the show. Until then, walk the talk.
They don't know